Hey, welcome back, everybody. All right, folks, welcome to the Veteran Sports Voice podcast, college sports spoken by those who served. I got some special guests tonight, but everybody knows me. I'm Coach Pops, Sean Mercer, former Army and Navy veteran, along with my guy, Ian McCants, who is sitting right now in sunny Central America country of Panama right now, doing his thing, former Navy veteran. Tonight, we're really excited to bring you one of the guys who is plugged in as anyone when it comes to Arkansas Razorbacks. Joining us tonight is Kyle Sutherland, who covers Razorbacks for HawgBeats on Rivals, on the Rivals and On3 network. Kyle's been following the Arkansas Razorback athletics closely and does a tremendous job covering everything from Razorback football to recruiting to basketball, baseball. He's into everything. So tonight, I know I'm going to pick his brain on everything Razorbacks, from the football roster rebuild, the quarterback battle, basketball, Arkansas heading into the NCAA tournament, and with the Razorback baseball season. I just don't have that warm, fuzzy feeling about that team this year, and I'm going to see what Kyle has to say about that. Kyle, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight, and welcome to the show, my man.
Man, absolutely glad to be here. And first off, thank you guys for your service. Look, I wasn't in the military, but I come from a military family, so an honor to be on a show like this. My grandpa served in World War II at 19, 20 years old, and all of his other four brothers did too. My mom's dad did, so I've got a whole history of family in the military. So honored to be here.
Well, we sure appreciate you getting here, man, and coming on the show. And I know I reached out to you several weeks back, but I had some things that kind of happened, and we talked about that. And man, I appreciate you being patient and staying there with us. And like I said, man, we appreciate that. So with that being said, man, let's just roll right into this, Kyle. So I'm out here in Oregon, man, and I'm trying to keep up with everything Razorback football. And dude, I've seen everything. We've got anywhere from 30 transfers to 40 transfers. Tell me right now, what is everybody in Arkansas arguing about when it comes to football? I know spring practice just started. Tell me let's start with something simple. Well, I say simple, but quarterback battle. What are you hearing?
Well, according to Silverfield, it's just a flip a coin, which I think that any coach, unless you have like your guy coming back, every coach in America right now is going to say it's a flip a coin battle at QB, right? If you don't have just that solidified starter, and that's what he had said. So I was actually at practice on Sunday for their first spring practice, and most of the QB1, pretty much all of the QB1 reps, which I say that lightly because the reps they would be kind of running from station to station. They may run 4 or 5 plays, and then they'll bring another team in. So first day, early on, it's early or mid March, so not a whole lot you can read into that. But he did say on Tuesday that Silverfield said on Tuesday that those reps are going to go to AJ Hill for the first team. So they're going to switch it around a little bit. I think it's pretty obvious. Having Braden Fuller, even though it was at the D2 level, it helps having a guy in there with that experience. But I think it's pretty much goes without saying it's going to be between KJ and AJ at this point. So you got a lefty and a righty. And that's what it's going to come down to, with most expecting KJ to get the nod, just being not necessarily familiarity with the system, because if we're talking about the system, then that probably actually goes to AJ. But I think really when it's all said and done, just my total guess here in mid-March, that it's probably going to be KJ taking the snaps on September 5th against North Alabama.
I got you. Okay. Let me ask you a question. How many transfers did Arkansas pull from the portal? And what was there a strategy behind it? What was Arkansas' strategy going into this?
I can't remember the exact total off my head. I think scholarship wise, it was 41. So it was somewhere between that 39 and 41 range somewhere. And then with a few walk-ons mixed in. And I think really more than anything, well, first off, you're coming off a 2-10 season. That's the biggest thing. Obviously a new coaching staff. It's a mix of 3 things to me, as far as like the big picture. And it is the fact that you are coming off a 2-10 season. It's a world where you essentially have to rebuild your roster every single season. Now, Silverfield said that he hopefully does not have to do that next season to the extent that they did this year. Hopefully they'll develop. That's what his goal is to develop some of those high school guys, get those and keep them in the program. And I think the other one was, so I said what those 2 things, and then the fact that you have a new staff. I couldn't remember what the third one was. So the fact that you have a new staff, that obviously too, you're going to have whole new philosophies. You're going to have whole new schemes and all that. So I think that's probably the three biggest, but more than anything, it's just an entire new world. I mean, even last year, Pittman in his last season, I mean, that off season, they brought in a ton of transfers as well. And so I think more than anything, it's probably just the climate, but it does change a lot of things when you do have you're coming off a really bad season, but also having a new staff as well.
So, okay. So I got a question here for that. So what position got the biggest upgrade with this? And before even that, because you brought in new staff, being there in Arkansas, I'm not so, but I'm about to be here in a few weeks, hopefully, be moving back to Southeast Arkansas. What are the fans? Are they gravitating around? And also too, as a former coach there in the state of Arkansas, I love the fact that he's pulling in high school coaches up there. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, as far as the high school coaches, so obviously I'm very tied in with high school in Arkansas just because that's what I did before. So I took over HawgBeat last May, so I haven't been quite at this for a year. I still did some Razorback stuff, but I was on the full-time high school beat from 2021 till last May, basically, or really last June, because I finished out the school year. And so I'm very familiar with a lot of high school coaches. I talk to them, keep regular contact, and adding Bray Cook as the high school relations guy. From what I have gathered, he has reached, I did a story on him about 3 weeks ago. And at that point, he had been on the job for about 2-3 weeks. And he had said that he's reached out to every single coach that he had their contact info. And if he didn't have their contact info, then he reached out to the school to get it, whether it was an email address, phone number. So that, with the in-state relations, I think is a lot. I know for a fact it's a lot better than it was with the previous staff, just from what I have heard from firsthand accounts. But I think the climate on Silverfield right now, it's, and I get the fan base having this feeling. It's just a wait and see. Like right now, I think that they're just in that prove it mentality. I mean, they've gone 2-8 or 2-10 3 times in the last 7-8 seasons. So there's some apathy set in there. Now, I think that people do feel better about it just because it is a new staff. You are refreshed. You get a little bit of a breath of fresh air. But also at the same time, too, you've got a basketball team that's maybe going to make a deep run. So I think that's what most people's mind is on right now. But as far as the football program, I just think they're at a prove it stage at this point. And I really, like I said, can't blame them.
Okay, I got you. So when it comes to this year, this transfer portal, what position got good upgrades? What positions that you still have concerns that, I don't know what's the holes there?
I love what they got. So my top guy that they brought in on really just in general, but it would be on the offensive line, and that's Bryant Williams from Louisiana. I think you look at his grades and I didn't allow it. I think he either allowed 1 sack or no sacks last year. And obviously the Sun Belt, it's a decent conference, but it's not the SEC. So that's going to be a big upgrade. Really remains to be seen as far as, like, I think you upgraded that position, but as far as how he pans out there, that remains to be seen. But you brought in Malachi Breland, who's very likely going to be your starter at left guard day one. I like what they brought in Terrence Robertson, a guy from Washita Baptist that was, look, if you're coached by Bo Hembry, I know that everybody thinks about wide receiver at Warren, but Bo Hembry just coaches football. I mean, he makes football players. It's not, he'll tell you, my guys aren't wide receivers or defensive backs or offensive or defensive linemen. They're football players. They're athletes. Right. They truly develop at Warren. So I really like what they brought in on the offensive line. I think, look, if Chris Marshall would probably be maybe be in the NFL right now if he wouldn't have gotten into trouble. He's been to JUCO, he's been to Texas A&M, he's been to Boise State. So really, if it's just about with him, keeping everything clean, keep your nose to your business, everything else will play itself out. He's a very talented guy. Obviously, Jamari Hawkins knows the system, another wide receiver. So I like what they did there. And I will say, too, defensive back, I was very impressed. I think when you look at a guy like Lakai Rowland at Maryland, Ohio State was in the mix. Jaheim Johnson at Tulane. Tulane obviously had a great season. Christian Harrison had a great season at Cincinnati. Rodney Harrison's son. Rodney Harrison, a legendary NFL safety. So I think defensive back got a lot better. Linebacker, I still am a little bit where I do like I like the Howard linebacker, Jaquavian Smith. I like a lot what we see from him. Kamori House, you feel pretty good at North Carolina, but still, that's a position that you just don't know a ton about. Wyatt Simmons coming back, I think, is going to be a really good player. He came on at the end of last season and looked impressive in the last, 3-4 games, whatever it was. But I would probably say, to summarize it all, offensive line and defensive back were probably my two most impressive positions. Linebackers a little bit concerning. Defensive line, I like what they brought in. Some highly touted as far as like what these guys were in high school, and even some of what they've done in college. Like, I guess really in college, the biggest thing is they don't have like Jamonta Waller, one of the edge guys they brought in. He's been hurt his entire career in 2 years at Auburn. He was recruited by defensive coordinator Ron Roberts, and Steven Souls came in from Kentucky, maybe the best defensive lineman, that edge rusher there. So, yeah, definitely defensive back and offensive line, I would say, is my strength. And the linebacker would probably be one area of concern that I have right now.
Okay. So you said defensive back is still your concern, or that's one of your
defensive back and offensive line are what I feel probably the most confident in. Defensive line is defensive line and linebacker are probably two position groups. So I feel really good about the D backs on defense. D line and linebacker, it's still a little bit of a wait and see game for me.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes me smile a little bit because, man, our DB that defensive back position has been brutal the last few years. So I hope something happens there. Oh, we need something on that. So how much do you expect Arkansas this year when the season starts? What is your where's the line drawn for improvement? Like, we have to be here, or if we're below this is a failure. Or what do you see for this next year for Arkansas?
Well, I think just taking care of the freaking ball and finishing games. You think about last year, that was their biggest struggle. This was not a good team last year, but it wasn't as bad. Like, I know that this is like an extremely soft thing to say, but like, it was the best, probably the best 2-10 team of all time. I think that's almost safe to say. Like, that's an ongoing joke that we have going around Arkansas right now, because they lost 6 games by 1 score. So Bobby Petrino, he was there for 7 games, and what was it? 5 of them were 1 score. So that was really and that's the thing. We saw what Taylon Green, and I actually wrote about this today. We saw what Taylon Green and Mike Washington did at the NFL Draft Combine, just off the charts top stuff. Taylon set all kinds of records for quarterbacks. Mike matched D-Max 40 time from 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago. And I see all these people, and look, I understand the outside world asking questions like, how in the world did Arkansas go 2-10? But seeing Arkansas fans say that, I'm like, guys, did we forget already? Like, did you not remember that they were a top 15 offense, but they were 123rd in the country in turnover margin? Like, did we just completely forget about that? So I think that's really the biggest thing is this team last year was not terrible. I mean, you think about it, Sean, if our defense, I got to stop saying if their defense was 60th or 70th in the country, you're a bowl
just
team.
Average.
I mean,
just average.
Just average. And you take care of the ball in just a few more games, you're a bowl team. And I know that bowls are not that seemed to be what, and I don't think that was Pittman's ultimate goal, but he definitely harped on it probably more than a lot of coaches did. And I like Sam. Sam was always great to me, great dude, but just, it was time. Obviously everybody knows that. But I just think that really more than anything, you've just got to take care of the ball, and the energy's got to be there for the entire game. I don't feel like that. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 games that I could point out. Obviously, Notre Dame being one of them, and then maybe Texas. Not Texas. Maybe it was Missouri. One of the games at the end that I felt like they let go of the rope a little bit. It's just like didn't really feel like they gave effort for the entire game. But that's another big key right there. Is you just got to make sure that you come out and you play for 4 quarters and you take care of the football. And that was one thing. Tim Cramsey, the offensive coordinators, talked a lot about that. And I noticed that on Sunday they were doing a lot just in shorts, and helmets, or shorts, jerseys, and helmets. They were just doing a lot of ball security drills, and that was very encouraging to see.
Good. And for everybody out there that's watching, you got my guy Ian over here who's just nodding his head, because my guy Ian, and I'm going to get
hey, he's chilling in Panama, man. I know.
Yeah, this is where Ian's sitting at right now, right here. So, and so Ian, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to, but you got a question jump in. Let me know if you got something to say, or if you just want to brag about where you stand. I'll give you a few minutes of the mic here, my guy.
No, man. I'm just happy to be here. I understand it's a lot of background noise. I tried to find the quietest place at the resort, so that you guys aren't hearing the toucan or whatever it is behind me that's going nuts. But anyway, I'm keeping my mic muted. But glad to be here, Cal. I do have one question for you. I asked Mr. Otis Kirk this,
Yeah.
and I also asked JJ Metters this. Did JJ catch that ball from Barry Lundy?
100%. Hey, JJ's my look.
Oh.
I love both of those guys. Hey man, I was 5 years old at that time. I was just a fan, not a writer. So I'm gonna back my guy JJ. No, JJ is
Right.
great. JJ actually I guess he's back in Northwest Arkansas now. But yeah, he was in Central Oregon. We used to do podcasts together and stuff. I actually saw Otis at practice. Yeah, Otis is a legend. Otis didn't cover me because I was not good enough to be. But I played with Joe Adams. I played with DJ Williams. So Otis was around at that time. So no, both great dudes. And yeah, I got to go with JJ caught that ball. I got to.
Yeah, I call Otis Kirk's the Godfather, man. So
yeah,
that's the dude. Him and Richard Davenport. Those are two of my guys right
there.
I
mean, look, those three guys. Those two, and even though look, Danny West, he works for my direct competing site, and so I say that in good fun, of course. No, I love Hog Sports is great brand, and Danny, Richard, and Otis. I mean, those are the goats of recruiting in Arkansas. I mean, they're the best to ever do it, no question.
Absolutely. And hey, guys, everybody that's here watching this, man, if you're seeing this, we're on YouTube at College Sports Crew. Hit that subscribe button and also hit that like on at College Crew at X. We sure appreciate it. That's what gets our message out there. And we're just two veterans trying to just put it out there for you guys. You know what, Kyle? I've got a few more questions for you. Give me one Razorback, either out of the portal or somebody who's been here with the system that that the fans don't know the name of, but before this year's over with, that we might be talking about.
Oh man, that's a great one. I'm going to say, I don't know that it's not so much they don't know them. They just might not have been on the radar so much. I'm going to say Wyatt. And I know Wyatt Simmons, I just talked about, that came on at the end of last season. But look, I mean, the kid's ultra talented, obviously comes from a football fan. For those that don't know, his dad is Paul Simmons, that has gone to 2 national championships with Harding, Division II national championships with Harding in the past 3 years, won one in 2023. So obviously very smart as far as the game goes. So I'll go with him on defense. Offense, man. I'll probably go with Antonio Jordan from Warren. I think that if that ankle, he had all kinds of hype coming in, like he created all that with those crazy catches in fall camp, and obviously has the Warren pedigree that has been very kind to Arkansas football in the last 20 or so years. So I'm gonna go with AJ Jordan. I think that if he stays healthy, that he could have a really special year after really showing off in fall camp last year, but was slowed by that ankle injury.
Yeah, I think, what do they say down there in Warren at Bradley County down there? All they do is grow tomatoes and football players down there.
Yeah, that's I did a really big article. It was for Best of Arkansas Sports. Great friends of mine over there. When I used to freelance for them, I did one. It was called "Who's Got Next" in Wide Receiversville, and this was right before AJ Jordan came to Arkansas. But it was a big article about just like Greg Childs and Jarius and all those guys. So yeah. A lot of talk. I say that to say there was a lot of talk about tomatoes and wide receivers. I mean, they grow them better than anybody down there.
All right. But to see what they got: Greg Childs, Jarius Wright,
Chris Gregg.
That's right, Chris Gregg,
Traylon Burks, and then you go way back before that, and these guys didn't go to Arkansas, but you got Brett Smith, Roshan.
He went
Fellows.
to Tennessee, right?
Yeah. So that during the nut years, those guys, and I don't really know the full story on this, but those guys ended up at like Brett Smith, Roshan Fellows, Ricardo Kemp. They all ended up at Tennessee, and then once Petrino got here, which. Crazy story about that. I know I'm going down a whole rabbit hole here, but before Petrino got there, Jarius was going to Texas Tech. Lincoln Riley was the wide receivers coach then, was really close with him. So he was going to Tech. Greg Childs was going to Mississippi State. So all these guys were going elsewhere. And then Petrino comes and Tim Horton keeps them together. It's a great story if y'all don't know that. But
well, that's some good. So we'll finish off with this question here on the football segment here. What is the realistic expectations for Arkansas? Do they compete in the SEC this year, or is it going to take a couple years? Or is it what's the time frame you think you're looking at that fans should realistically be looking at?
Silverfield said immediately, I just, it's one of those that I just have to believe when I see. Like, I think this coaching staff is doing about as well of a job as they can. They came in and within 24 hours, they flipped multiple in-state prospects, which that was one of the things that the next coach needed to do, as I talked about earlier, was really just kind of create better relationships with not just the players, but the high school coaches within the state. And on top of that, I think they had, I think they finished top 10. And I think in our On3 rank transfer portal rankings, they finished 8th. So they did good in that regard. But man, this is just such a freaking deep league. I mean, all these automatic wins that you once have. Arkansas has been that automatic win for people in recent memory, really. So that's you don't really have those anymore like you want. You don't have what Vanderbilt once was, or Mississippi State, or like every single week. Now, I'm not going to go as far as to say it's the best conference in America right now, because that's been proven untrue, but it's still an incredibly deep league. And I think that if you go anything under than 6, you're just really, and even maybe that's a little bit too high. I think probably more so around the 5, 6 should be the highest to me right now. Now the schedule is favorable. I think you got a good chance of beating Utah, obviously North Alabama. I mean, you got a really good chance of starting off strong, and who knows what could happen from there. But I think if you really shoot for anything above 6, then right now you might be setting yourself up for heartbreak.
So if you do, so with that being said, because if we get 7, 8 wins, what has to go right?
Well, again, you got to make sure you got to be taking care of the football. Your defense has to be at least middle of the pack, and you got to have, of course, I don't expect to have a type of player that like Taylon Green. Now, Taylon Green was a little bit of a turnover machine, but his athleticism was, as we saw at the NFL Combine, just off the charts, crazy. So when you have that kind of guy that is that fast, and look, he's got a decent arm. It's just not quite registered in the head yet.
Right.
That's the biggest problem right now. And so I think that he could have a good future at quarterback in the NFL. If he just continues to, get the right people in his ear, just keep working. But that's the thing too, is you got to make sure where you're not going to have that kind of dynamic player on offense. I'm not saying that they're not going to have great players on offense, but I'm talking about at quarterback. KJ Jackson is a great player, and I think he can have a great season in what is that, year 3 as a Razorback. But you got to take care of the football. You've got to play 4-quarter games, and you got to play at least middle of the pack defense in order for that to happen.
There we go. Ian, do you have a question or anything before we move on to the next segment here, Mr. I'm just going to chill in Panama for this show?
Just curious, of course, I'm a Bama fan. I learned a lot about Arkansas from Sean. Just curious on your thoughts with the Bama quarterback battle. Really, our coach is saying the same thing. Coin flip, sort of the same thing that you mentioned with the Arkansas quarterback battle. We have Austin Mack coming in, system guy. He has, of course, the height, but I don't know. I wasn't impressed with a lot of his passes when he did get in there. I can say the opposite about Keelan Russell. If you go search Keelan Russell highlights 2025, that highlight video will be about 45 seconds. However, It was a great 45 seconds,
Right.
And so I think that, this guy, he has the highest ceiling of the two. And so, like I told Sean, I think that if they're still trotting Austin Mack out there game 3, we might be in trouble. Okay. I think that he's decent. I think that he's about the same as Ty Simpson. Okay. The ceiling is, kind of low. Okay. But you have the guy, Keelan, that can actually beat the Georgias, beat those type of teams. So, do you have any intel on that quarterback battle?
I don't have any intel on it, but I actually did talk. I was talking to a Bama buddy about this because we were talking. I was talking to him about Arkansas's quarterback battle and Alabama's, and it's funny that you bring that up because that was almost the exact conversation that we had. It's essentially just like it might not be until opening week that we know, because obviously once SEC Media Days rolls around, that's the kind of stuff that Kalen DeBoer is going to get asked. Obviously, Ryan Silverfield's going to get asked at length about it. So what we know right now, I don't know that Arkansas's quarterback battle is going to go to that week of being named the Monday before kickoff, but I could see Alabama's or I mean, maybe even Arkansas is going certainly into fall camp before we know anything for sure. Just because, I mean, like you said, like for instance, AJ Hill, that like you talked about the 45-second video, highlight video. AJ Hill, there's not a lot out there, but when he did get an opportunity, he was very impressive. Now I get UAB was not a great team last year, but against UAB, he was right there about to lead them to a comeback victory. And then he played, I guess, in the bowl, whatever bowl. I think Gasparilla Bowl is what Memphis played in. So I think that he's got a very high ceiling. KJ Jackson obviously has a little bit more of has the SEC experience and a little bit more game experience in general. But I could see both of those going pretty deep into fall camp. That's where I'm at with those, just with it being so early in March and everything.
All right, well, there we go. Well, now I'm gonna swap over real fast. We're gonna talk real quick about the Arkansas Razorback basketball, and then we're gonna go into the basketball, from baseball to basketball. You know, Coach Van Horn's teams, man, they're usually one of the most, like, they're up there, like, and they're there. But you know, maybe it's just me watching from afar. But Kyle, they just don't seem like they're there. I looked at the SEC. I looked at stats. I think Ryder Helfrich is like the only one that's in any kind of category. Hunter Dietz, pitching wise, he's strikeout. Like, I think he's like number 2 with strikeouts looking. This team just doesn't feel like the normal Arkansas team. Is that the same thing you're seeing or feeling, or just me?
What? No, I think it's fair to say, because look, I mean, but where I'm at with it is I'm going around the SEC and I'm like, man, LSU is having some struggles. I mean, like,
right.
that's the biggest thing. And so I think like Texas is looking really, really good right now. Mississippi State is still I still think Mississippi State is a top 5 team at their best. They've obviously got some issues with relievers now, and look, they gifted Arkansas. I mean, you look at just game 3 in particular, they gifted Arkansas a lot, so they took advantage of that. But I think with Arkansas, here's what does make me feel good. I mean, Koziel is always. I mean, Camden's going to be Camden. Got to remember that now, Camden instead of Cam. I like Damian Ruiz in the leadoff spot. Obviously, Ryder Helfrich, you mentioned him. He's doing incredible. I will say this too: the bottom of the lineup with Pompey getting a little bit more confidence with that walk-off. He hit that triple. And then also Souza had a really good weekend. So I think that what you have there at the top and the bottom, like the bottom of the lineup producing the way that, think about how much that helped last year when the bottom of the lineup with like Reese Robinette in the 8-hole. I mean, Justin Thomas Jr. might have been the best 9-hole hitter in the country last year. I would say he's top 5 at worst. So that's a big part of, you know, their success was having Davalon, what he did in the leadoff spot. I mean, you pretty much 1 through 9 had guys that could really rake. Right now, the middle of the lineup is a little bit. Of course, Stewart has been in and out with that injury. Still like what you see from him. Robinette, when he's on, you love what you see. I like Camden at shortstop. I didn't realize that Koziel was a 2-time Gatorade All-American shortstop in high school. I did not know that's what he was recruited as. So that's good that worked out there, because man, they were struggling. I mean, between Pompey's struggles there, between Brumbaugh's struggles. So I'm not worried about the pitching at all. You know, Dietz didn't quite have his stuff. I think he got a little bit frustrated last week, and that affected him. But I think pitching is going to be just fine. They've, for the most part, they have been the strength of the team through the first month of the season. But at the middle, if the top and the bottom can continue to do what they do and just keep on doing and keep on working, keep on putting together good at bats, if that middle comes together, then I think that this could be one of those really turn the corner teams. But yeah, look, baseball it's such a funny game, and you look at how Arkansas won that game in that 8th inning. They scored 4 runs on 2 hits because Mississippi State gave them so many gifts. So I think that's part of it too. It's just playing the strategy of the game that Dave Van Horn is so good at. But right now, I understand the concerns that people are having. But then, like I mentioned, I look at teams like LSU, the defending national champion, that had tons back and added a lot. And, you know, it could be a lot worse.
I got you. Yeah, Pompey, I think you were talking about Pompey there. He actually leads the category for the SEC in strikeouts.
Right,
so,
right.
So that was
huge. I mean, getting that walk-off and hitting that triple, that's just massive for him. I mean, Dave Van Horn sent him to I don't know if you know this, but he literally sent him to the doctor to get his eyes checked because he was so bad at the plate. Just to make, I mean, it wasn't like I'm going to get your eyes checked like as a joke. He was literally worried about him. So he sent him to the eye doctor and everything was fine. But that's how bad it was.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
See, that's the kind of information we get here on the Veteran Sports Voice here. They sending players to the doctor. So looking at this at the league right now, for it, where legitimately does Arkansas fall in the pecking order for us right now? What as ranked, in your opinion? And how long do you think it is before we take Wes Johnson away from Georgia when David Warren retires? Our producer's a huge Georgia fan, and he's dying right now.
So the thing, man, Ian's just rubbing in our face there, getting the drink, sitting on the beach. He's just straight up.
I know, right?
But we actually, so at HawgBeat, we started doing power. Jackson Collier, who I know I'm biased, but I think he's the best Arkansas basketball analyst out there. He started doing some SEC power rankings during this basket, and those hit really well. Got a lot of traction, and so I'm like, you know what? Why don't we do it for spring sports? So I'm a big softball. I love baseball and softball, and I do softball rankings. And Daniel Shee, another one of our writers, he actually does power rankings for baseball. So right now he's got Texas at 1. I wholeheartedly agree with that one. Auburn at 2, Georgia at 3, Arkansas 4, and then OU 5, and then Mississippi State at 6. I mean, I think that's kind of hard to disagree with. And you got Florida, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, A&M, Ole Miss, LSU, Tennessee, Alabama, and Missouri. I mean, right now through the first month of the season, I think that's pretty on. I'm sure that there might be maybe a few flips here or there, but for the most part, yeah, I think it's probably safe to say that right now, Texas, Auburn, Georgia, Arkansas, and OU are probably your top 5 teams. OU being the most surprising of the bunch.
Okay. Good stuff. So yeah, so you got Chris over here wondering about Wes Johnson, because I got to give, as an Arkansas guy, got to give Coach Johnson some props, man. My God, those boys.
Yeah, I could tell you a lot of stories
ball,
about, man, they hit so many home runs, and that guy. So, he coached at Abundant Life, which is in Sherwood, where I grew up in Sherwood, just down the road. So I had a lot of friends that went there, had multiple friends that were on his state championship team in 06, I think it was. And he is so just to a T particular. Like, he will literally grab your fingers and just tell you where to go. Like, I mean, just inch by inch, how to grip a ball. Like, he is so just like, I mean, pristine, I guess is the word I'm looking for, like in all of his tactics. And the guy's, I mean this in the best way. The guy's a lunatic. Like, he's an obsessed lunatic with baseball. And that is why he has gotten to where he has. I mean, he goes from, this guy was a bartender at Applebee's, 25, 30 years ago, and then just decides he actually worked for one of my old bosses that I had in college at Cracker Barrel at Applebee's, and then decided he wanted to coach one day. And then he coaches at Arkansas, or coaches at Sylvan Hills and Abundant Life, and then makes his way to the college game. And now he's a head coach in the SEC. It's just a phenomenal story.
Well, he must be doing something right, man, because I watched that Georgia has 66 home runs right now. 2 of their players are in the top 3, I believe, for home runs, and they total 24, 25 home runs together. So that means the rest of the team is smashing the ball too. Like,
oh yeah.
So, I mean, it's just whatever. And so I think if Van Horn ever decides because Van Horn's going to leave when he wants to leave, he's earned that right. But I think we're coming after Wes Johnson there, Chris. And Chris is back here. He's telling me I'm number 1 right now behind the scenes over here. But yeah, that's good stuff, man. You know what? I got my guy Chris here. One of these, we had to bring you on and let you tell some stories about Coach Johnson there. That'd be a fun show right there. We had to do that. So, okay. So let's, what? So now let's move on to the big story. We're 33 minutes into this right now. You know what? I hear Arkansas has a basketball team.
That's what I'm told.
Yeah, and then I hear Alabama. They got a team, but I hear they might be bit that a player got kicked off today. Today, not off the team, but off the university. Aiden Holloway. So you know what? Let's start with the small stuff first. Let's start with Alabama basketball and see how far do you think their run can go now with everything that's happened.
I'll tell you, Nate Oates, noted disciplinarian, and I mean that with the most sarcasm I can. Noted disciplinarian Nate Oates I'll tell you, the guy, I don't like him. I honestly can't stand him, to be honest with you, but the guy can freaking coach. And obviously that is a massive hit. I mean, that's comparable. I mean, losing Darius Acuff is really not comparable to a lot of it because, I mean, he's just such a special, phenomenal player. But I mean, losing Aiden Holloway is obviously critical to their run. And so I think it's obviously going to hurt them. It goes without saying. But again, as much as I don't care for Nate Oates, I real recognize is real. And I mean, the guy is just, I mean, he knows what he's doing. So I could see them. I don't really see them making it past like, you know, the Sweet 16, but I could see them making it past the first weekend. I can't remember. I filled out a bracket last night, but other than Arkansas's,
they're playing Hofstra, and
so I knew they were playing Hofstra.
Team.
I couldn't remember what. Yeah, and Hofstra's pretty good. What's the rest of their? I knew that game, but what's the rest of their bracket look like?
Hold on, I got it right here. Let's see. They would be, so they're in the Midwest, so they would play the winner of the Texas Tech Akron game, and Texas Tech is without JT Hopkins.
Toppin,
the Toppin's out.
Yeah.
I had them going all the way up to the Sweet 16 in my bracket to Michigan, but now with Holloway out, I'm not sure they get past Hofstra. That's a dangerous.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough. I'll tell you what, if they get past Hofstra, I think they at least get to the Sweet 16. I mean, Nate Oates he's just a great coach, and they've got other talent. But you know, he's just I think that he can get these buttons pushed in the right way. So I could see if they don't get upset by, which Hofstra is going to give them, I could see that being a single digit game for sure. Maybe like a, you know, really close game and Bama pulls away in the last like 4 or 5 minutes or whatever, something like that. But if they get past Hofstra, I think they can make it at least to the Sweet 16.
I got you. Ian, I know you got to jump in here and say something, or nothing, just hold up your drink or something.
Yeah, man. You know, we talked about it earlier. It is a massive loss, but and let me say, my heart is football. I'm like most people, is one or the other. You know, a little bit more casual when it comes to basketball. But I'm not one of those silver lining type guys. Okay, either you're gonna win it or not. Okay, I don't care if you win your first 2 games. You know, I'm like one of those. Okay, and so I never realistically saw Alabama. You know, Nate Oates has them playing that small ball. I think that once they really knew that Bediako was not going to be on the team, they really dove into it and committed. And they had that 5 or 6 game winning streak where they were actually lucky to win, you know, 2 or 3 of those games. Okay, that could have easily been 3-3. And so I didn't foresee them going a long ways. But with that being said, when you play that small ball, it's just depending on you being hot. Okay, so I'm still going to take them with Hofstra in the second team. I don't see them, you know, beating Michigan or anyone below that. So if they win, fine. Like I told Sean, what Aiden Holloway means to me is that we stole him from Auburn. That's all that he means to me. And so outside of that, you know, like you said, I won't be surprised if they win or lose, but I don't really see them making a big run regardless because they depend too much on that small ball. And I'm old school, man. You have to have, you know, a guy down there that can plug that middle, and Alabama just doesn't have it.
Okay, so so what do you think? You know, we had Jamal here from Athletes Forum Podcast. He hit us up on a comment, said a lot of these SEC schools got sneaky games. What in this tournament right here before we get what's a big sneaky game that you can think of that may involve an SEC team or not, or do you have one?
Well, I think Arkansas is going to beat Hawaii, but I don't know if y'all have seen their length. I mean, they got 6'8".
They are.
So, yeah, they're really so. I mean, you got to look at it. But then you look at their second. I mean, I don't think you have to look much further past. And frankly, I'm just being completely honest with you guys. I haven't broken down the bracket, so that's Arkansas is the main one. That's why I'm saying that is because you know Arkansas is the main region that I've looked at. But tonight is actually when I plan on like really diving into that. But I mean, I think you just look at Arkansas's bracket alone, and then you look at the Wisconsin game. And so I actually have Arkansas going to the Final Four. Now, do I believe that in my heart? If they play up to their potential, if you get good games from Pringle, if you get the kind of games that you can from this team, guys, is just so unselfish. I don't know that I've ever seen a team. I'm not going to say ever, but it's been a while since I've seen a team quite to this level of unselfish. You know, Malik Thomas has a great game against OU, doesn't have a great game yesterday, and DJ Wagner comes in and Malik understands, like, hey, I'm not having a great game. You think about Missouri, the first game, and Pringle goes up to Cal and it's like, look, Malik Ewan is playing better than me. He needs to start the second half. And obviously, anytime somebody brings up Darius's accolades, it's always about the team, the team, the team. And I look back to when we talked to Cal after the scrimmage in Hot Springs back in mid-October. That was the first really press conference that he had of the season. And what he had talked about was getting this team to play together, getting Malik. One of the big questions coming into the season was, can Malik and Darius be on the floor together? Because they both love to shoot. And we've seen that they have played really well on the floor together. I mean, even like without Darius, obviously this team isn't what it is, but you're still a decent team because of how good Malik Thomas is. Now, are you like past the first round? You know, that's debatable, but still you're a pretty decent team. So I think I think really with that is that this team doesn't care about what they're like. They play their roles right, but they don't really care what that is. I think you could tell Darius to go play the 5 and he wouldn't even question it. Okay, coach, you need me to do that? That's fine. And I think you can say that just about any other team. I mean, Darius Acuff is the most pro athlete that I have ever covered in my life. And I hadn't been in the college game very long, but I've covered some very professional high school kids who've gone on to play big time ball in multiple sports. Darius Acuff is the most pro athlete. When you talk about what he does on the court, how he conducts himself in press conferences, whether that's a win or a loss, how he gives back to the fan base, and just who he is as a person. I mean, he's just a great dude. And obviously this team looks up to him. Cal did a phenomenal job. Cal and this staff, like Chuck Martin, Kenny Payne, who's at Chin Coleman, they just did a phenomenal job of keeping the 4 guys, Billy Richmond, DJ Wagner, Trevin Brazil, and who's the other one I'm missing? I'm missing 4. There's 4 that he brought back. I'm missing one of them.
I'm trying to think.
So it's Trevin,
DJ, and didn't we have the one kid that's hurt now? I'm trying to think of the kid's name.
Carter Knox. That's why
Carter Knox. Yes.
Carter Knox.
Yeah, Carter
Knox. So Carter, you brought those 4 back, and I know Carter, he's been hurt and he hasn't had the greatest season in the world, but DJ's really come on. Billy Richmond's been phenomenal. I mean, he's caught the nation by storm. And then also too, Trevin. I mean, Trevin, that seniority, this team is just so incredibly balanced. And if you can just get a decent game out of Nick Pringle and a really good game out of Malik Ewan, and I think things could be really good. And I really do think that this legit could be a Final Four team.
I tell you one thing about the game yesterday that I loved, I literally I was telling my wife, she's coming back from Utah today. She was driving down yesterday. And I told her, she's a huge Razorback fan also, but she said, I told her that Trevin Brazil was hitting 3-pointers away from home. And it seems like he has trouble. He doesn't like when he's at Bud Walton, he can shoot lights out. But I mean, he's the one that put the icing on the cake. And if he gets hot this time of year right now behind that 3-point line, because if you have to guard him behind that 3-point line, Arkansas is going to be dangerous because it's just not even fair at that point. And so how do you see that? Do you see what I'm seeing here?
No, 100%. And that's one thing that I think he's adapted much better this year is he's great at the fake and then just the dribble drive to the hole. And that's what he is. And so that's where he is so dangerous is you have to account for him on the perimeter or otherwise he's going to switch something. But then again, he's become so good at that fake and just drives it to the basket. So that's what ultimately makes him. And that's good. And that's kind of what has become of Billy Richmond too. Billy is not just that punishing driver who's going to bull over you and get to the basket. He's gotten a pretty good jump shot too now. I mean, he's really formed a good jump shot, and that's what's really just added another dimension to his game.
So you talked about Darius Acuff. I mean, we're talking about the SEC Player of the Year, both coaches and AP, Freshman of the Year, I believe, if not coaches and
Yep.
AP. And he's still in the running for the Naismith Player of the Year, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yes.
So where do you think he's going to end up in that? And then also, too, where do you think he ends up at the end of the season? I mean, obviously he is a one and done. But
you
to
mean
me,
in the NBA draft?
Yeah,
like
in the NBA draft. Yeah. I
mean,
can't see him being under a top 3. If he goes below a 3, people are missing out.
Yeah, I mean, if he goes, like if he gets out of the top 5, I'd be unbelievably stunned. I mean, it's just people are just continuing to sleep on him. Guys, I don't, and I know, I'm obviously, I don't wear glasses, but I'd probably seen this through Razorback colored glasses, even though I've followed a lot of the top players. I don't see how he's not. When you're in the same categories, when you've been in the same category as Pete Maravich and Kobe Bryant and all these, and you're standing alone in those categories with those greats. When you're in those same categories, I know Kobe Bryant didn't play in college, obviously, but that stat, whenever the Alabama stat, right after that game, it was something like he's the only, I can't remember exactly what it was, but he was the only player in college or NBA along with Kobe Bryant to do this. But I will tell you this, to me, I just don't see how he's not. I mean, it was definite like if they wouldn't have given him both the SEC freshman and player of the year, then something would have been rigged. But and I look, I'm not saying when you get into the national picture, there is a lot of guys that you could really point to, but how many times have we seen his worst game be somebody else's best game? And I'm not talking about just, your random 6-man. I'm talking about great players that in most cases is considered a good game, but for Darius, it's like, okay, it's just another day at the office. Like, we got, and I'm not trying to get super off topic here, but we got a girl right now that's a sophomore in high school at Farmington named Easton McCullough. She's got offers from Arkansas and all, and she averaged 38 points throughout the state tournament the last couple of weeks. And, she put up 32 points in the state title game the other night. And I'm like, that's great, but that's just another day at the office for her. That's how it is for Darius. If Darius puts up 20, if he puts up 20 to 25 points, pretty much, that's just another day at the, like, really, once he gets above 25, that's when you're like, damn, like this guy can, so it's just so many people's worst game is Darius's best game. And that's the standard he has set for the 25-26 season.
Well, we got my guy Ian over here. He can tell you when the season started, I told him, I said, man, this is a generational player. You need to watch out for this kid. And I don't know if Ian's got a question or anything here. I'm going to let him jump on because he just looks like he needs something other than a drink right now.
No, man, I just love hearing it. And when it comes to basketball, we were talking a couple of days ago about that Arkansas center that played on that team with Scotty Thurman and Corliss Williamson. And so I've been following for quite a while, man. And so I just love hearing it. But, yeah, I got to give Sean his props. He told me early on, watch this kid. And I thought that Sean was being a homer. And so it's great to see it unfold, and it's great, to see this guy achieve. And, I was traveling, but I had to call Son yesterday and give him a big congrats from them winning, And so, hey, man, I'm a believer in the team, and I hope that they win it all. And I'm I have them going pretty far in my bracket.
Yeah, I've got Final Four, and then I think losing to Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. So, but I mean, hey, I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see him go to obviously the Final Four, but the national championship. But yeah, Acuff, I think everybody knew he was going to be good, but nobody other than maybe himself and his family saw this kind of level.
Right. Well, don't feel bad, Kyle, because my Final Four looks like this: Arkansas, Virginia, St. John, and Florida. And the reason why that St. John, could you imagine Patino and Calipari playing for a championship, man?
I'll tell you, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that'd be for the guys guys and gals who do what I do. That'd be good for business. I'll tell you that right now.
Right. So we talked about Acuff here. I got a question because our guy Jamal there from Athletes Forum, he brought this up. Jordan Smith Jr. I've heard Calipari talk. Just he is, and to me it's dangerous because Acuff is so good, but he's saying this guy's going to be as good, if not better. Is that?
Well, I'll tell you I mean, I think that I'm not saying I disagree, but I also think it'd be unfair to put those kind of expectations. Like I'm not saying he's wrong by any means, but I think Jordan is going to be very special. But here's the thing too, is Cal, we know he's the best recruiter in the history of basketball. and regardless of what that might look like or how he got those recruits. But if you're that highly touted and you go to play for Cal, that means he wanted you and was going to do everything he possibly could to get you. He was not going to stop until he got Jordan Smith. So I think that, Jordan is going to be, who knows, maybe that's another incoming SEC freshman and player of the year. But I know that Cal's not going to be saying, and I know that that's our jobs to be talking about, as far as like what this player can be and what his ceiling is. But I know Cal coming in, he's just going to tell him to be Jordan Smith Jr. and kind of let the rest take care of itself.
There you go. So looking at this tournament, you said that you haven't really filled out your bracket or anything like that, but you have kind of looked at the West Regional. Couple things. How the hell did we end up in the West Regional? Like, I'm in Hillsboro, Oregon. I'm 30 minutes away from the Moda Center. But damn, like, you couldn't put Nebraska out here. Like, like they haven't done a damn thing ever in the tournament, and they put them in Oklahoma City. First off, how do you feel about that? And then what's the one weakness that you see from Arkansas that could bite us in the ass in this tournament, bite them in the ass in this tournament right here?
Well, is the thing that could bite them in the ass is if your front court just if they take advantage of that and you're just not, and you have one of those no-show games from Malik and Nick, which you would hope at this point on when the lights are the brightest that has passed them and they're just ready to roll at this point. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. But as far as the location, who knows? And I know that there's some out there that will just say there's a vendetta against Arkansas, but I know this much. This team doesn't care. They just want to go out and they want to continue to play, even though it is on short rest and they got to play on. It's not like they get the Friday game. They got to do the Thursday. So it's not ideal, for something like, because I'm actually sending one of my guys out there on Tuesday. So, we'll be there all week, hopefully through Sunday. That'd be ideal. But I think that Arkansas I don't particularly care for it. I would have liked to, just like everybody else, I would have liked to have been a little bit closer. But I think Arkansas just wants, I don't think they cared if it was played on a parking lot in China. They just want to go out and play ball.
Well, with that being said, you got a guy coming out here. I can write really well. I work for Intel. I'm a semiconductor engineer. I can write, but I can also carry bags. So if you got any extra tickets, you need someone to help your guy out down there, let me know. I'm your guy for that. I promise you.
Hey, I would do it. We actually don't get, we get credentialed. Like, we don't get like any tickets or anything like that. Otherwise I'd be virtually passing them over right now.
Dude, I'm telling you, as soon as they announced it, Kyle, no kidding, I went onto the NCAA website, got to the link to the partner. Dude, they were sold out before I could even get over there. Like, and now they're all on StubHub everywhere else. It's insane. It was
I'd believe
that
it.
quick.
Yeah.
And they're in crazy sane. So so we're gonna finish up with this question here real fast. Looking at the West bracket, that's the one bracket you said you did kind of look at. What's the one team Arkansas, besides themselves, they need to watch out for? What's the team there that scares you the most out of that West bracket for Arkansas? And then if Ian's got a question, we'll let him ask a question here, or while he's drinking and enjoying the sun and fun and
No, I'm just listening about the bracket. I haven't had a chance to really dive in them, son. I was traveling, and so I just kind of filled mine out, on the run today. So I'm just standing by trying to hear anything about the brackets that will help me win that $1 million so that I can come back here to, in a couple of months.
I hear that. Yeah. Well, I think you look, BYU could be a dangerous 6 seed. Missouri could be a dangerous 10 seed. I mean, both times that Arkansas played Missouri, Cal talked about how Dennis Gates to him was, did an SEC Coach of the Year type job. And I mean, Missouri is dangerous. I honestly don't know a ton about Miami. I haven't watched a lot of them this year, but I think that's Wisconsin is dangerous. But I would probably go more so than anything with BYU as a 6 and Missouri at a 10, just because I've seen Missouri so many different times.
Right. Well, the one thing that was a hard, because I've got BYU and Gonzaga meeting in that, and I got Gonzaga.
I have them in the round of 32. Yeah.
Okay, and I have Gonzaga moving on, but I'm not sure about that because, dude, Portland State just down the road right here, they beat Gonzaga and beat them pretty good too. So and so it's kind of one of those teams. I call them the borderline personality disorder team. They kind of play up or down to their competition. Georgia's that way. Georgia's one of those teams to me that they beat. They beat Arkansas, they beat Alabama. I think they beat Florida, if I'm not mistaken. They play to their competition, and so there's a part of me that wants to move Georgia further along, but I stopped because I'm getting ahead of myself. I didn't want to give our producer Chris hope back down there. That BYU Gonzaga definitely I understand that conflict right there. So
yeah,
but so in your opinion, you said you had Arkansas in the Final Four.
So my Final Four. So I have filled out my bracket, but I'm going to go back.
Just slid a drink across the screen there, just in case you wasn't watching.
Hey, man. Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'm about to say he is going to be tipping over before we finish this. But no, I filled out a bracket, but I'm just that was just kind of off the top of my head. Now I'm going to go back. Like that's usually what I do. On Selection Sunday, I'll just fill it off the top. I've done this since I was like in high school for 20 years, and I'll just basically go in, fill it out, and then I'll kind of do a little bit of research, dig into some of these teams. But my off the cuff is Duke, Houston, and Arkansas, Michigan, and then I've got Houston beating Michigan in the championship. Now, is that going to stay? I don't know about that. I'm probably going to move some things around, but that's what I have, at least just not just off the cuff, straight up, like not even really thinking about it.
Okay. Well, we can respect that. Well, Kyle, once again, hey, and I thought I was going to have you tomorrow for the baseball show, Chasing Omaha. Bro, you've got to come on because I want to talk.
Yeah, definitely will come on.
Absolutely. I want to talk some softball because I know you're into softball, and I know I saw in your Twitter that you're a girl dad. So it ain't going to be long before you start getting that baby girl into some softball, I'm sure. But you know what? We would definitely want to talk D1 ball and D1 softball and get you here for that. And dude, we would love to have you again, preferably when Ian's here and got a little bit better prepared and get you on something. We'd like to think of you as a friend of this podcast. And you know what, Kyle, if you would, when you get out there, tell people about us, because we are Veteran Sports Voice Podcast, and our catch thing is, hey, we're college sports spoken by those who serve. So we do appreciate you, man. And you know what, if you got a plug or anything you want to throw out, this is your time to do it right now, man, before I hit the closing up. So you do your thing, boss.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me. I definitely I'd love to come back. It was a very fun conversation. And all my stuff you can find at HawgBeat.com. You see it with HawgBeat.com. Right now it's actually so we have a promo. I don't know how long it's going to go, probably at least for a month, but we've got a promotional right now. It's half off, so $60 for a year. So that goes to $5 a month. That includes, obviously, now we've got a lot of free content on our site, but this includes, of course, a message board. We have daily intel and discussion on. Also, too, here's the best part about this: you get access to not just HawgBeat stuff, you get it to any. So, Ian, you get access to complete access to Alabama stuff and all of the On3 nationals. So that we have 75 plus fan sites. So you'll get access to all that. You get access to all the On3 and Rivals national content. Plus, you get a year subscription to The Athletic. So, I mean, it's the best deal out there with transfer portal season around the corner and, of course, the NCAA tournament. So, but like I said, we do have free content as well. That's one thing, that I do pride myself is, we obviously, we do have subscribers and things, but there is some stuff out there that I want everybody to see. So we've got plenty of free content as well. So stuff, all kinds of different things for everybody. But yeah, HawgBeat.com, we're going to have complete coverage. Like I said, my guy will be on the ground in Portland on Tuesday night. So we'll have complete coverage for the rest of the week as long as Arkansas is there. And then we'll have complete coverage throughout the NCAA tournament as well.
All right. So that's HawgBeat.com, guys. And I'm going to check that out. That's a heck of a good deal for that. So, again, we appreciate you guys. And, hey, you know what? For all the people out here watching, you know what? You're watching us at YouTube at College Sports Crew.
Hey,
go ahead,
Ian. You forgot the most important thing. It's my birthday tomorrow. Let's let everybody know why I'm in Panama, man.
I forgot about that. He did remind me of that.
So wear your green tomorrow. St. Patrick's Day is the best holiday.
Hey, man. Hey, you can tell I'm Irish, so I'm gonna be wearing my green.
All right, that's right. So Ian, that's right, brother. You are going to be tomorrow. Is your birthday? I forgot that. Right. How old are you going to be, big guy? How old are you going to be?
24.
24? Okay,
no, 47.
Okay.
47.
Still a young baby. Still a young baby. It's been a while since we were in submarines together there, my man, diving into some of the deepest parts of the world. So no, happy birthday, early birthday, and you know what? Stay thirsty, my friend, and stay upright. And you know what? And I'll be reaching out to you tomorrow. But hey, for everybody out there, y'all go to at College Sports Crew on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button there at College Crew on X, and you know what? We are Veteran Sports Voice Podcast. We are college sports spoken by those who served. And look, everybody out there, somebody knows a veteran. Somebody knows a veteran. Check on them. Say hi to them. Let them know that you care. Let them know it's, you know what, especially the ones that say they're all right, because those are the ones that really need to know that, hey, that are the ones that tend to be quiet. Those are the ones you want to check on. To our Gold Star members out there, you know what? That's a sacrifice that we will honor and cherish with you every day, because you gave up something more than I can't even fathom. And you know what? And we got a lot of men and women right now on active duty that, you know what? Stuff is real right now. They're really downrange, doing real world missions right now as we speak. Please keep them in your hearts, your minds, and your souls, your prayers, your thoughts, your vibes, whatever it is. But you know what? This is for them. And we just ask you that you just, regardless of your politics, this, you know what, your politics are because of what these men and women do every day. So just keep them in your hearts and minds and soul, people. That's all we got. And with that being said, guys, we're out of here. See you. And Kyle, we appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yes.
All right.